Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second LTE internet plan with smartphone plan savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
This is the plaintiff, Frederick Bravetti. He says the defendant, his ex-wife of 28 years, stole $93,243 of his $164,814 JetBlue frequent flyer points, which she had no right to do. When he asked her about it, she said, "Too bad, it's a family account." She has some nerve stealing his points. He's not about to let her get away with this and is suing her for $3,595.48, the value of the missing points. This is the defendant, Lucille Bravetti. She says the plaintiff is out to get her any way he can. And this is just one more of his tactics. The points she used were to fly their son and his girlfriend on a vacation. Their family shared points in a family account. She's not paying him for them because they aren't just his, and she thinks the judge will agree. She's accused of flying kind of low. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $5,000 for money stolen and harassment.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you're about to witness is real. The litigants are not actors. They are involved in legitimate disputes, and they have agreed to have those disputes settled here in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Leon is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Bravetti, you are suing I guess she's still your wife because you guys haven't finalized the divorce. Is that correct, Mr. Bravetti?
That is correct.
Okay, so you're suing your wife. So let's start with you, Mr. Bravetti. Tell me what happened here.
Okay, so my wife took the privileges of using JetBlue points, which were earned with a Barclays JetBlue credit card, of which I used. I had that card exclusively. We've been separated for a number of years now. I left the household in 2017, and we signed agreements in February of 19 with the judge and attorneys, and it's signed, and anything she earned and anything I earned was separated and apart. So I used this Barclays credit card exclusively. I issued one to my daughter, who lives in North Carolina, who was getting married that year, and I said I would pay the entire bill. Those cards earn points. Those points she could use as a wedding gift, to go on a honeymoon. And I made numerous
Did she
flights
already
down
get
there
married?
to help. Yes. So those points earned, a lot of them were earned in the year of 2019. So
how was she able to get access to them?
Okay. So my wife, being the attorney she is, and a family attorney no less, knows all the ins and outs. And during our negotiations, while I was out of the home for a number of years, I was followed by private eyes. I was tracked with my credit cards. And people wonder, how could she track your credit cards? Well, it's very easy. You have access to the pedigree. You have the date of birth. You have the social security number. You have addresses. You even have emails. Now, I can't be in her brain or in our household, but I will tell you this. She asked my daughter, Nicole, for the password to the Amazon account so she can get usage to free delivery. So
because they have the credit cards on file. I know this because I make my children, if they're going to buy something, they buy it from their allowance, and then all of a sudden I see they clicked my card, and then they tell me, it was a mistake. And so she bought something on your card, correct?
She had 2 or 3 items delivered to the house, which I left. She had 2 or 3 items, and she charged them to my card. And, that's deliberate.
When did she do that? What year?
That was 2019. It was 5 days after we signed the legal separation documents.
That was $77.19, correct? The Amazon
That's
purchases.
correct.
Okay.
Now, again,
now the
I'm sorry.
points happened when? When did she cash in the points?
So according to JetBlue, she made 4 purchases during the year of 2019, all after we signed the separation agreement. She made all these purchases.
And now let me ask you, Ms. Privetti, I want to turn the floor over to you. What's going on here? Because you guys have been separated for a good amount of time. And ironically, what is it you do for a living?
So, Judge, I am an attorney, which the
You're
plaintiff,
actually a divorce attorney.
I am. And it's very unfortunate and it's very sad that almost a 30-year marriage, 4 children, the husband decides 3 years ago, so it's not that long ago, that he wants to up and leave, and that's fine. And it became a nightmare, a very ugly battle. He's a retired firefighter. He's healthier than I. He golfs 24/7, and I had to pay him a ton of money. Now, that may be irrelevant here. However, I want you to know he's not the victim as he's making himself out to be. But I'd like just to get to the issue, Judge. As a matter of law, I am a lawful owner on that JetBlue account. As a matter of fact, as per the letter I submitted to Your Honor from JetBlue, does Your Honor have that?
Let me make sure.
JetBlue verifies.
It's a family account. Nobody denied. But when did it become a family account?
Back in 2016.
This is while you were still together, correct?
Well,
That's why you were still together.
Correct. So
okay,
I
hold
would
on.
say for 2016.
Hold on 1 second. Ms. Privetti, he's suing you for 3 trips that were taken, all of them in 2019, after the separation agreement was entered into, okay? You dipped into the family account, and how many points did she use up?
93,243 points were redeemed for 3 trips.
Right.
In 2019.
So when you do that, when you dip in 2019 after you're separated and consume 93,000 points, that's what we're talking about. So tell me, why did you do that if you guys were already separated?
Judge, because 1, I was an owner.
Because you
2,
could?
Judge, number 2, I continued to use my JetBlue card. I was accumulating those points. He used the flights also. There is no determination that I was using his points, number 1.
Can I ask you? No, that's what I'm here to determine. That's what I'm here to determine. Can I ask you something? There's no divorce decree. There's a separation agreement, and that's what I want to ask you about, particularly since you're a divorce attorney. Why are you guys not divorced? You can't stand each other. You feel that she's checking up on you. You feel that he dumped you after 30 years and 4 kids. Everybody's angry. Why aren't you guys divorced? What's the advantage to just being separated?
Your Honor, because of my wife's conditions and she needs health insurance, so that benefit of her having health insurance and my separation is the only reason we were able to move on. Without that,
that'll
we'd still
teach
be fighting.
Because look at what she's doing. So it's for her benefit. And yet,
absolutely,
she dips into the joint points account.
Your Honor.
Which you feel is at a minimum morally unfair, but you feel it's legally unfair.
I have to argue that he's suing me for about $3,400 for 93,000 points. I provided to the court a JetBlue advertisement that you can purchase 3,400 JetBlue points for $59. Now, there were promos.
Hold on 1 second, because he has something from JetBlue giving a different amount, where they give it a value of $3.51 a point, or 1,000 points for $35.10. That's the figure. But let me ask you a couple of questions here, because I'm concerned. You know, you guys have this arrangement where it's really to your benefit because you need insurance for whatever health issues you have. I don't know why you don't just seek the...
Judge,
what do you mean?
There was a price tag on that health insurance. I paid a lot of money for that health insurance.
Can I just ask you guys a question? What's your plan? To stay married forever?
No.
When are you going to get a divorce?
He has a right to convert it after 3 years. Or we can remain lawfully married for 100 years. As Your Honor knows, it just means we can't remarry. There's nothing untoward about that, but in my negotiations...
No, it's just odd, though, where... there's nothing untoward about that. The odd part, and this is a rarity for me, what I'm seeing is two people who have such an acrimonious relationship where it's really bad. You guys really detest each other, and then you stay married, and you stay with a joint bank account, and you stay with a joint JetBlue account. I don't understand how everybody didn't figure this out, sit down, take inventory of their lives, and separate things. This is a joint account. So, no, you didn't. You had a family points account. You missed that one. And so when I look at the separation agreement, this account is another marital asset, which you may be able to wipe it clean, but you don't have a right to wipe it clean. It's half and half. So you explain to me how at a minimum you don't owe him half that money when you took it all for your own uses. How do you figure that you don't owe him at least half of it?
Judge, I did not take it all. There were 200,000 points. I don't know
I mean half of the 93,000. I mean half of the 93,000. Why wouldn't you at least owe half of the 93,000 if it's a marital asset that hasn't been divided?
But then, Judge, we need to analyze in 2018 and 2019 how many points he utilized on flights.
Oh, hell no. I'm not going to do that. It's a marital asset, and I'm going to divide it equally, which means that when each of you dip into the till, each of you owe the other person money. So you dipped into the till, and that is valued by these folks at $3,500. So we are going to divide that, and I'm going to order you to pay half of it. And now I am asking you about the Amazon account. You charged $77.19. What is your defense to that?
He was paid. He sent me a text
By
that
whom?
I had 24. He sent me a text that I had 24 hours, and I put the $77 in cash, gave it to my youngest son as per the plaintiff's instructions, and paid him. Judge, if I could just go back to
did your son give you the money?
Your Honor, that never happened. That never happened.
Let me ask you a question. In this incredibly acrimonious separation that you folks have had, have people been calling the police on each other as well?
No.
Tell me about that.
Plaintiff's been calling police on me. The only time I called the police once, Your Honor, was when he attempted to come in my home that was no longer his, and he set the alarm off. Otherwise, it's only the plaintiff who called the police, attempted to have me arrested 5 times. All 5 times there was no criminality. And he's even gone to the extent, and I've sent you a copy of his email, he's even gone to the extent of contacting the grievance committee because I'm such a bad person.
To get you disbarred?
For the bar, that I should be disbarred. Judge, I need one more second. This is not an acrimonious relationship. He left, we dealt with it. He made it ugly. I don't know why he's so angry at me.
This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit TemptationsTreats.com to learn more.
Vitamin Water was born in New York because New Yorkers wanted more flavor to pair with all the amazing food in the city. You can have the best meal in the world here, if you can get a reservation. Vitamin Water is so New York, its 3 favorite cheeses are chopped cheese, bacon, egg, and cheese, and a slice of cheese pizza. We know where to get the best sushi in the city, and best nachos, and best bagels, and best... You get it. And you can find food trucks better than 5-star restaurants. Drink Vitamin Water. It's from New York.
Let me ask you a question also. You have part of your counterclaim, you've got a $3,500, according to you, he dipped into a joint account and took out $3,500. Tell me about that.
So, Judge, similar to the JetBlue joint account, I still maintained a joint checking account. Foolish, but I kept it in effect because I had 4,000 pre-printed customized checks to use. He told me, you keep your account, the joint, and I could use my checks. He was establishing his own account. For 2 years, Your Honor, he never went into that account, nothing. Now we're in the midst of litigation. In May of 2018, I get emails, you're bouncing checks. I look, I call him up, what are you doing? Of course I got, take a walk. My name's still on it, so.
Okay, so on May of 2018, but that is a date that is before February of 2019. So why are you suing for that now when that should have been encompassed in the February 2019 separation agreement?
For the same reason with JetBlue, Your Honor. I didn't raise it.
No, but it's not the same reason. The JetBlue stuff happened after the separation agreement. All
okay,
right,
but Your Honor, that JetBlue stuff.
Tell me about Ms. Privetti. I'm asking Ms. Privetti.
You're assuming.
No, I'm assuming it's both of yours. No,
okay,
no.
But Your Honor,
the JetBlue, you know what the JetBlue account is? Stop talking. Stop talking. I can't establish a value, and I'm establishing it from the JetBlue email. And I am, Ms. Privetti, stop barking and listen to me. If you think that because of the shenanigans that are going on here, that I am going to take the time to split hairs and figure out the exact value of each share at the exact time that you use them, you are out of your mind. I am very content with the November 2019 setting of the value by JetBlue.
But you have
yours comes February 2020, a year later, when it's already starting to get devalued and we are on the brink of COVID. No, okay? So I am setting it at the amount I said, and that's it. The next question is, who do those points belong to? If you think that I'm gonna sit here and separate the pots and pans of your commingled lives, you are out of your mind. This is, for all intents and purpose, an unaccounted for marital asset. And therefore, I am going to divide it. And when I divide it, it would mean that one of you has to pay the other. The person who took it all without dividing it needs to pay the other. So on the plaintiff's lawsuit against the defendant, I am ruling in his favor in the amount of $1,836.19. Now, on the defendant's lawsuit against the plaintiff, can I ask you a question? Did you actually try to get your wife, the mother of your 4 children, your partner of 30 years, disbarred? Did you try to mess with her meal ticket?
Okay, Your Honor, why would I do that when the woman owes me over $700,000, which she has to pay me in the next 3 years? Getting her disbarred would not help me in that matter. And factually,
you tell me how you look me in the eye, Mr. Privetti, and tell me that you would never mess with her meal ticket because she is the mother of your children and owes you $700 and $1,000. And I am making you aware, and of course this email is going to my attorney also. I have already filed a complaint with the grievance committee. This is your email to her on July 11th, 2018.
Your Honor.
And sent the letter to the New York Bar regarding your acts of violence against me and impersonating me regarding my World Trade Center's Victims Compensation Fund award, and lastly, signing my name to a Bank of America account. I got an answer back from the Bar Association already, grievance committee, and I need to go and file a report with the Nassau County Police. This is your email to her. Does that sound familiar?
Your Honor, that is correct. That is my email, but you're misinterpreting what's going on here.
Did you, in fact, file a grievance? Did you, in fact, file a grievance like you said in the email?
Your Honor, she broke the law. And
yes or no? Did you, in fact, file? All I asked you was, did you file a grievance? Did you? Yes or no?
Your Honor, the woman admitted to me that she tried to manipulate the system.
I'm going to need you. I am going to need you to stop talking, and I'm going to need her to stop talking.
Of course.
Mr. Privetti, you have a lawsuit against her for 2 things, for the JetBlue points plus for the Amazon purchases. She cannot have a possible defense of, I gave the money to my son, and then nothing from the son saying, hey, I gave the money to my dad. So as far as I'm concerned, she has no proof that she paid that. So I am going to order her to pay the $77.19 of the Amazon purchases. And as far as the JetBlue points are concerned, for the reasons I have already gone over, that is a joint marital asset because you guys are still married. If there had been a divorce, it would be different. So $1,759, which is half of the value that I find for the points that she ended up taking. Half of that rightfully belongs to you. So in your lawsuit against her, I find in your favor in the amount of $1,836.19. Ms. Prevetti, you have a claim against him for $5,000. $3,500 of it is for money taken out of a bank account. That $3,500 that was money that was taken out of a joint account that you feel was inappropriate all happened almost a year before the signing of the separation agreement, which means it is something that under the separation agreement has already been taken into account in the separation agreement. You as a divorce attorney, you of all people should know that that is not, if it happened before the separation agreement, is not something that you can complain about now in another lawsuit. And the $1,500 for harassment, when you're talking about all the things that happened, including the attempt to file a grievance or the grievance that he filed against you, which was ended up being found unfounded, that is also something that happened beforehand. So these are not things that you can now bring up after the separation agreement. You can't bring up things that happened before the separation agreement.
Behavior.
Stop talking. Stop talking. So therefore, on your counterclaim against him, 0, and on his claim against you, $1,836.19, verdict for the plaintiff.
Well, in this nightmare of a marriage, the plaintiff prevails, $1,800. Let's talk to Mrs. Prevetti and see what she thinks about that. Ma'am, you had a rough go with the judge. What's your reaction to the verdict?
He's greedy and he's living off my dime. So good riddance to him. He should walk into his country club with his head up high.
Okay. Well, you got to pay him the money. I know you're not happy about that. Mr. Prevetti, let me ask you, what's your opinion of the judge's verdict? I'm sure you're somewhat happy. You didn't get everything.
Well, I guess we would have to be happy. I guess it'd have to be a fair opinion because we're both unhappy.
What's going to happen? I mean, you're living in a nightmare with your still wife.
Believe me, it's a better nightmare now away from her than it was living with her.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I must tell you, I feel sorry for both of you.
Wow, a lot of acrimony in this case. They say in family court, you see good people at their worst sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And in this instance, honestly, it took me back to when I was in family court and was basically...
And the light left your eye.
Basically. And... But at the end of the day, you sorted this out, and you found that the frequent flyer miles were marital property from an intact marriage, effectively. They have this separation agreement, but they're married.
Yeah, they're still married. But, you know, you would think that for the sake of the children, because even if they're not small children, it's still painful. I mean, I always, when I see these cases, I say to myself, I look at you, and I say to myself, is there anything he could do that could make me hate you this hard?
Right.
And I don't want to tell you because I don't want to give you a free pass or anything, but I'm just in my head, the person you bring 3 children into the world with, the person you spend 30 years next to, how can you not have some affection and not, it's just amazing to me how nasty these divorce cases can become. And I remember, how long were you in divorce court?
About 3 years.
And honestly, I thought you were going to just jump. Oh. You were so miserable. What was the worst part about divorce court for you?
Honestly, I think it was probably the divorces and paternity cases where people were fighting about the children to the point of how a child's hair should be cut, what kind of dress a child should wear to a communion or to our...
Wait, that's important, what dress you wear to a
bar mitzvah.
You're making it sound like it's not important. That's kind of...
yeah, well, it's not worth fighting over.
No, it's not worth dragging a judge into, but yeah.
And you got to admit, they're paying a very heavy price right now for sustaining the health insurance. My goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely. It's a bad idea between 2 people who are not happy with each other.
I'll say.
Bonnie, I got to tell you, this is a really important question. The simple answer is yes. A store can keep somebody out if they are not wearing a mask. There is a big overriding principle here. The only exception might be somebody with a disability where they can't wear a mask. But even then, I think a judge might say that the pandemic overrides that individual concern and the individual should send somebody to the store. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
You're the perfect blend of elegance and style, and your ride should be no different. The 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid meets all your needs, from business to brunch and everywhere in between. With head-turning details like a sleek front end, plus stylish interior, and an available 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and seamless tech integration. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more about the new 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid.
This is the plaintiff, Paul Rivera. He says he loaned his coworker money to accompany him on a trip to Iceland. And when they got back, he left his job and is now ignoring his requests for payment. The guy moved to Chicago. Seems like he has money for other things. He refuses to be taken advantage of and is suing him for the $2,232 he's owed. This is the defendant, Joshua Kozma. He says he was in a bad place last year, and the plaintiff invited him on a trip to Iceland and said he would pay for it. After they got back, the guy starts badgering him to pay him back for their trip. Huh? This was a gift to help a friend in need, and he has no idea why he's being sued for this gift, and knows he owes the plaintiff nothing. He's accused of defriending a friend.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff was friends, co-workers with the defendant. Says he fronted him money to go to Iceland with him on a vacation, and the guy stiffed him. Now, the defendant is saying the plaintiff offered the trip for free because he had nobody else to go with. It's the case of putting a friendship on ice.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Rivera. So sometime in what year you decided to go to Iceland? When did you guys go? 2019? 2020?
It was March 2019.
2019. All right. And you didn't have anybody to go with. You knew the defendant how? You guys had worked together before that?
Yes, we used to be co-workers at T-Mobile.
Okay, so by the time that, so you were friends, right?
Correct.
So by the time that the trip was coming up, were you still working together or no longer?
No, Josh went to get employment somewhere else, so I messaged him because it was something that we talked about.
Okay, so tell me how it came about. How did it come about that you fronted him, according to you, you fronted him the money, according to him, you gave him a trip. But go ahead and tell me how that came about.
So basically what happened was, I've been wanting to plan this trip for some time now, and I was going to go by myself. I was hoping to not do. So I asked Josh if he'd like to come, and he told me, he'd like to, but he didn't have some of the money. So I offered to pay for his flight now, and he'll pay me back when he gets, basically when we get back, because I know at that time I think he was switching jobs. I paid for the flight, I paid for the rental car, I paid for the Airbnb, and then while we were there, his card got compromised. I think it was on the first or second day. So, obviously I had to pay for his food. I can't have him starve, while we're on this trip. So, I covered that as well. And then when we got back.
And his gifts and souvenirs that he brought back, you paid for those too, right?
Correct.
All right. How long were you guys in Iceland?
The trip was for 9 days. We went to Amsterdam, Iceland, and Dublin. We were there for St. Patrick's Day. So
Nice.
It was a total of 9 days, I believe.
You were in Dublin during St. Patrick's Day?
Yes. It was very interesting.
All right. Mr. Cosme, talk to me. Because he spent a lot of money on this trip, $2,232. Tell me about the circumstances under which you were invited to go.
Yeah, of course. So, Paul's very correct. I was in between jobs when he offered me the trip. He offered to go with him. At the time, I wasn't financially stable. I was switching jobs, so I told him I couldn't make it. He was really eager for me to go. I just told him I couldn't afford it. And he said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And that was it. Like we talked about it for a while. He said, don't worry, we'll come over a couple of days and we'll plan out the trip. And that's what we did. We planned out the trip. We went to, like he said, we went to Amsterdam, and then we went to Iceland, and then we went to Dublin. But then during the time of the trip, my card was compromised, and I had paid him some of that money back for that because I felt that that wasn't part of what we recently talked about some
of that money. Finances. Why wouldn't you pay him all of that money? How much did you pay of that money?
I believe it was $500 I have gave him from the amount where
did he give you $500, Mr. Rivera?
So he gave me $500, but he owed me $500 as well before the trip for money I let him borrow that was completely unrelated for Iceland. So he basically paid me back the money that he owes me that had nothing to do with the trip or any of the money.
What had you loaned him $500 for before Iceland? What had you loaned him money for?
It's been a little bit, so I don't remember exactly. I know that he needed some of the help, some money for some help.
Mr. Cosme, he's saying that that's a loan that he made to you well before Iceland.
Well, what he's suing me for is separate. I gave him $500. He wasn't suing me with the 500 on top of that. He was suing me with the 500
So he's suing you for $2,232 because he says that you ain't his boo and that you are supposed to pay him back. So if you want to persuade me that because I got a lot of good friends, I got to tell you, Mr. Cosme, and not a one of them is trying to drop $2,200 on me for a trip. Not one. So can you explain to me why it is that Mr. Rivera would have gifted you $2,200? Persuade me.
Well, like I said, in the beginning, when he invited me on this trip, I made it very clear to him that I couldn't afford it. And he was very adamant of having me go with him. And when I told him I couldn't afford it, my acknowledgement to what we talked about was, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll pay for the flights. I'll pay for the Airbnb and also the car rental. Food and things like that was going to be on my dime.
I don't doubt that because he said he'd front it for you. But are you telling me that he never said, and you'll have to pay me back?
Well, those words were never spoken. No, it was.
Were you under the impression that you had to pay him back?
Not to my knowledge, no. But throughout time,
so it's just a pure gift for you.
Well,
have you in other times where he's fronted money to you? He seems like a very generous person, and he seems like somebody who really wanted you to go with him on this trip. By the way, did you guys have fun on the trip? Yeah. But he also seems like but he also seems like somebody who was very clear that, you're supposed to pay him back. And I'm looking at evidence that was sent to me by the plaintiff now. And let's take a look at it. There's text between you guys. All right. And he says, hey, here's the money you owe me. And your response is, okay, got it. I will start soon, little by little. I'm getting back to work tomorrow, and I should start back at T-Mobile soon. Tell me why what you say is not, what are you talking about? This was a gift. I never was supposed to pay you back. Why isn't that what you say? Why is it, okay, got it. I will start soon, little by little.
The conversations that we had before those text messages were over the phone. Paul and I talked prior to those messages that he sent me saying, okay, this is how much you owe me. And I told him, hey, listen, I thought this was something that you were giving to me, just as a friend. I can't afford to pay this right now. I'm going back to work. Over time, and be honest with you, Judge, I felt convicted in a way like, okay, well, he really wants this money back, and I don't feel like I should give it to him. But he told me pay him back if I could within amount of time, and he didn't give me an end date. So I said, you know what?
Can I ask you a question? Have you paid him $5? Have you paid $5 for your trip to Iceland? This happened over a year ago. When you say, oh, I didn't have it, I need to start little by little, because I can see either I'm going to believe you right now, or I'm going to believe my lion eyes who are looking right now at the text that you sent them back then. And what you said back then is, I will start soon, little by little. Did you ever start soon, little by little? Have you paid him $20 for your trip to Iceland and Dublin and Amsterdam?
Yes. Well, when he sent that message, it shows $2,700. And then after that,
yeah, but that's $500 for something before. Have you paid a penny for your 9-day trip? Yes or no? Like your text says you would. Not a penny. Okay, well, then you know what this looks like to me. It looks like to me that you're just a deadbeat friend. I don't think for one second that Mr. Rivera was trying to bestow upon you a free trip. I think he was helping you out as a friend, fronting the money because you didn't have it, because the two of you had been talking about this trip, and frankly, because he wanted company too. But wanting company doesn't mean that he's not going to get paid and that he doesn't expect you to pay back. And the best evidence that you were supposed to pay him back is the text where you say, I'm going to pay you back. I'll start now little by little. So when there is a situation between litigants where one person says it's a loan and the other person says it's a gift, a judge looks at the facts and says, is this the kind of circumstance where it would be a gift? You know? And this isn't. But on top of that, I have your very own words in the text, which are coming back to haunt you. My verdict in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,232. Pay the man.
So the plaintiff is going to get his money back, the whole amount, $2,232, Mr. Kozma. As the judge said, pay him back. How do you feel right now about this?
Well, like I said in the beginning, the conversations that were made between me and Mr. Rivera were that it was going to be a gift, and I did not feel like I was entitled to pay that man back. I've paid him back before, and this was just a different scenario. I'm not happy with the verdict, but, that's what the judge decided.
Let me ask you a couple of questions, Mr. Rivera. Out of all the places in the world to go, why did you so want to go to Iceland?
Well, I live in Florida. I lived in Florida my whole life. So until last year, I've never seen snow. So if I was going to go see snow, it should be in somewhere that has nothing but snow.
So how was the trip? How was it in Iceland? Did you see snow?
Oh, we had a blast. We drove through blizzards. We were frozen. But, at the end of the day, first time you see it, it's magnificent. And the fact that I don't have to live there is even better.
Finally, how's your friendship going with Mr. Kozma now? What happened?
I haven't really spoken to him, to be honest with you. The whole thing kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm currently now married. So, the fact that I could have brought my wife to this trip instead of, I brought Josh, and now he doesn't even want to pay me back a dime. It just left a very poor taste in my mouth.
Wow. What a story. You should have taken your wife. No kidding.
We weren't married.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay. That'll do it for this case. Now, let's have another session of After the Verdict.
Is there a worse time for your credit card to go south on you other than...
In Iceland?
A long way from home. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah. It's almost like you have to, if you're going to leave town, your credit card company is your mother, and you need to let them know that you're leaving town, or they'll end up canceling it on you. But he may have had money problems because we know he didn't even have the money for that trip. But that's what makes it even more galling that... it's not just that he won't pay back the trip. He won't even pay back his own food from the trip. Right. He didn't pay a penny for anything. So it's really quite unnerving. And then the plaintiff himself just got married recently and was hitting up the defendant, listen, I need the money for my honeymoon, and nothing. Silence roared, crickets.
Right, and it seemed like there was one text message in particular that really kind of just turned it over for you. When somebody says, yeah, I'm going to start paying you back.
Yeah, that usually means because you're supposed to. Right. But friends don't usually buy trips for friends. They usually expect, they might front it, but they usually expect to get paid back.
Absolutely. But God, there's no better gift than when you're in a situation like that and somebody says, I got you covered. And all of a sudden,
and then they got you covered, and then 18 months later, he still won't even pay him back for that stuff, which is kind of galling, Yeah,
he really didn't have a right to be indignant about that.
Well, Phyllis, there's something called a warranty of habitability, which means the place has to be healthy and safe for you. And the fact is, in the middle of summer in Arizona, if you don't have air conditioning, you may have rights to withhold rent until it gets fixed. We'll see you next time.